Hello, future coders. Ready to have your minds blown? Just a reminder, my name is Svetlana, and the right panel opens with the N key. Today, we're going to learn how to create and configure materials for objects. Let's get started. Switch to the Layout tab, and let's make the bottom workspace area larger. Open the shader editor within it. If you don't see any additional workspace at the bottom, it means you accidentally or intentionally closed it. No worries. You can reopen it at any time by hovering your cursor over the corner of the current window until the cursor changes to a white crosshair. Then click the left mouse button and drag the cursor inside the current window. Now you have an additional workspace, and you can open whatever you need within it. Remember, we need the shader editor right now, and it's amazing. In it, you can create and customize materials. To make the shader editor even more amazing, we need to activate the Node Wrangler add-on. Go to the Edit menu and select Preferences. Choose the Add-ons tab, type Node Wrangler in the search box, and in the list of options that appear, select Node Wrangler and activate it with a checkbox. You can close the window. Let's select our background and create a material for it. To do this, simply press the New button in the shader editor. Now we can choose the color for our background using the color palette. Currently, you won't see any changes because you are still in solid mode. This mode, by default, doesn't display materials, and it's usually used for modeling. To see bright colors in the gray world of Blender, you need to switch to Material Preview mode. Now things are more fun. But let's make our material a bit more complex. Move your cursor in the shader editor and create a new node. To do this, press Shift-A, open the Texture section, and select Checker Texture. Place the node on the left and connect the color output to the base color input. Now, you can see a checkerboard texture on our background. In the texture settings, you can choose the desired colors and scale. Currently, our texture is stretched along the x-axis, and we need to fix that. First, we need to determine the coordinates for our texture, to what they will be anchored. Let's select the texture node and use the magical incantation Ctrl-T. This will create two more nodes. In the far right red node named Texture Coordinates, switch the output to UV. Like this. Having trouble pulling the hose out of the socket? Well, then, let's take a look. Normally, connections are made from left to right, from output to input. But it can also be done the other way around. If the input is already occupied, the new connection will simply replace the old one. If you just want to change the input, pull out the hose and plug it into the new socket. The same can be done with the output, but in that case, you need to hold down the Control key, because it's an output, not an input. So, we've given coordinates from UV. But the texture is still stretched. That's because we changed the object's size. Despite applying the scale, our UV unwrap remains the same. It looks like a square with all sides equal. Don't believe it? Well, switch to the UV editing tab and take a look at the unwrap. It's square. And right now, our texture is being mapped to our square unwrap and then stretched to our rectangle. To fix this distortion, we just need to create a new unwrap. In the right panel, in Edit mode, select everything, bring up the Unwrap menu with the U key, and choose Unwrap. Now, our unwrap perfectly matches the shape of the object. Go back to the Layout tab and admire the neat little squares on our texture. I hope you're not tired yet because we're not done. First of all, you forgot to rename the material. Click in the input field and type Game Background, of course, in Latin characters. If we run our game now, we'll see that our background looks a bit different from the viewport. It's dark in the game. That's because we have no light sources except for the global world source. The mode you're currently working in is called Material Preview. It only displays color without considering lighting. If you want to see the final result with lighting, switch to the rendered mode. This is the exact image you'll see in the game. It's dark again. Go to the World Properties tab. There, you can see the scene's lighting settings. You can change the lighting color or play with its strength. But we don't need any of that. We have to turn off the light completely. So, set the strength value to 0. Now we see only a black screen. And now we'll fix that. Select our background and delete this big, scary block called Principled BSDF in the shader editor. Just select it and press X. Now, we'll add a simpler block in its place. It's in the group section and is called Armory PBR. Connect color to base color and surface to surface. Nothing seems to have changed, but we have a couple more clicks to go. Find the emission channel and set it to 1. This channel controls the emission of light by the object. And now our object, like a chandelier, shines in the darkness, so we can see it. To wrap it up, set roughness to 1 and occlusion to 0. Don't try to see the result of these two changes. You can't see it. Congratulations! We've created a simple material for our background. It's a temporary material. We'll replace it with a nicer one later, but for now, it'll do. Staying in rendered mode isn't necessary. Sometimes we'll switch to it to see how our scene looks in the game. But it's not convenient for work since this mode consumes a lot of computer resources and you can't see anything. So, switch between modes as needed. Painting is more comfortable in Material Preview mode. Modeling, of course, in solid mode. There's also wireframe mode. It's a useful mode for modeling. That's it for today. This was Svetlana with you. I emphasize poorly, but it's not my fault. It's all because of clumsy programmers who wrote algorithms for my magical voice. See you in the next lesson. Goodbye for now.